anyways, I could be following Will Smith and he's showing me creative passions, but I could also be following an old Dallas Maverick player and all he's doing is just, he's just with his family. He's not taking me anywhere. But Will Smith is like showing me growth and development and creativity and his passion. Or I could be following a pastor. I could be following an entrepreneur who's showing me some things there. You know what I mean? So people who are in this space of justice and seeking justice and creating more pathways for opportunity and resources to be opened up for our people, I think is like, to me, that's a smart way to move through these conversations and moments of flared up, I don't want to say chaos, because sometimes it is chaos. I was like, oh, what? But like I'm very, I just try to be strategic with it, even though I'm not like, oh, this is the plan. I just look at like, okay, who's this? What are they doing? What is the plan and who are they aligned with? And a lot of the times we as Black people are being smarter in how we're approaching these topics because we've seen Martin Luther King, we've seen what he did that impacted people. Boom, the NFL thing. They got one of the biggest players, Patrick Mahomes, to say something, and then all the owners and the commission, they are like, okay, this is our flagship guy. So if he's saying this, if he starts to talk down on what's going on with the NFL, then now we're gonna have a problem on our hands. So in the athletes doing it, Nike was one of the big ones. People make a big deal about them, but in them supporting the athletes, it's making all these big brands acquiesce. Like, hey, we gotta get in line too. Yeah. So like being smart with and using their leverage for justice,
their platforms for justice, because they have a lot of influence.
Exactly.
And that kind of going into like my next question with like social media. It's funny because Facebook, you have your memories. Right. And then like memories will come up on my timeline from 2016. And it's like, we're saying the same things as 4 years ago. Exactly. And I'm like, it'll be exactly the same things. And we were watching also Selma. And they were saying the same things during Selma. But something seems kind of different this time around. Do you feel like there's been a shifting? It just seems like, I feel like more eyes are open, and like you're saying with like Nike and them getting on board, people are using their platforms for good because those people have the power, whether we want to say so or not. Right. And if the people who have power are not doing anything, things won't change. Right. It is important for Black people and people of color to speak out, and those who are discriminated speaking out. But those with the power, they have to say, man, these folks are right. Let us stand aside and let them speak. I think that it is because I think it's a nuanced reason why people are doing more now. I think it's because social media. Everyone is so it's social media because everyone's on it. Yeah. COVID-19, everyone's in the house. They're not out initially. So when that happened, right. So everyone's outside or inside social media, they're on it. And then all the people they follow are people that influence us. They're influencers, like Will Smith, any sports athlete that people follow. So if you're seeing this bombardment of Black Lives Matter, like people are like, okay, there's something going on. Yeah. And then you have the current administration. They're showing white Americans, oh wow, all these things that these people of color have been saying a long time that I thought that they were just complaining about, I'm actually seeing it now. Yeah. They're seeing how he's talking crazy about the Mexican border. They see what's happening with the kids that are still in the detention center. I don't even know what they call them. That's what they call it, but it's not
so
that.
How he speaks about other countries, and so I think it's a whole bunch of layers that are, it's like
different factors.
How can you deny what's going on? Right. And if you're denying it, then you have cognitive bias. Like you already are set in it, and you're like, nah, but he talking about the economy. He talking about the stock market. It's good. Like, and they're finding ways to not focus on the things that people of color have, because one, they don't want to leave their uncomfortable life. I had many of white friends reach out to me because I was a black person that they could speak to and get an honest reaction from. They're like, Eddie, I'm sorry that this happened. I just didn't know. Sorry and I was just like, you know what? I know you don't know.
Right.
But the bad thing is it took you this long to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't expect you, because they're asking, what should I say? Because everyone was like, yo, you got to use your platform. But what's funny is they posted the black image and like, this is a day of
Blackout Tuesday.
They used that like, I did something. Like, Eddie, I posted that. And I was just like, I realized like, it's easy for them to do that. And I talked to this one girl. I was like, you know what? I know what it takes to change me. I want to work out. I want to eat healthy. I want to do the right thing. I want to wake up at a certain time and kill the day. But I don't. And that's for my benefit. That's for me. So for me to expect you to give up the foundation that you live on, to break that foundation up, to lift me up from the ceiling that I'm capped. So I'm expecting you to give up your foundation to bring me up to be equal with you. I'd be a fool to think that every white person is going to do that.
Right.
But if they are, if they're on the right side of moral history and if they want to do the right thing, there's going to be a calling from them from within. They're going to be invoked to be like, you know what, this is wrong. I'm gonna speak out against racial injustice. I'm gonna say something to my whoever that says it. But I realize that one of the issues is, to me, there's 3 issues. They did not know, and they were just in a small town, small whatever, not a lot of black exposure. And they don't know. 2, they knew about it, they knew about it and they just racist and they just like, yeah, and they just cool just to be cordial with people of color because it's easier to get away from that. Or 3, they have people like that in their family and they just don't want to create tension in the family because they have racist uncles, dads, brothers, or whatever the case is. And I was like, most white people either fall in those 3 categories, and I may be generalizing, it may be something crazy, but I had these conversations and I'm talking to them, I'm like, I can't fault you because I wouldn't want you to try to force your thoughts on me if you thought I was thinking a crazy way, but we know that ain't true. But I mean, like when you like with history and all that stuff, and so it's just to me the reason why is multi-layered things that are happening that are. It's just exposing it, and it's if you deny it and if you try to talk your way around it, then you're just showing that you don't want to give up your privilege, or you don't want to acknowledge it in a way where you have to change what your lifestyle was, or your lifestyle is, because nothing is going back to the way it was, no more. Like people are like, oh, the good old days. They to me, like I love this space because I'm Native American and I'm Black, so people are changing for the better for us. Like I feel like they're changing for the better. Like you guys have to understand where you have crazy resources. We down here, like we trying to own a home, we trying to start a business. Your whole family's spread throughout. Your mom, sisters, their kids, all them. They got a lot of I want to start a business. You know what? Here you go, 50 grand, and then that'll help you put down for whatever. You know what I mean? Like. People starting businesses in the COVID. I'm like, how y'all get that? They say, oh yeah, my family, they believed in us and they were actually money saved. I'm like, that is crazy. Because coming from where I come, like, ain't no one saving nothing. Because we just had a scarcity mindset, but it's because of the things that were put in place, redlining. They took away the warehousing, or the factory jobs in the inner city. And all of a sudden they start sending things overseas. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's easier to see why, and I can't hold people accountable because they don't know. So I'm like, and I don't expect you to do the right thing. So I realize that the only way things are gonna change is if it's a God, like, It has to be something bigger than us that's going to change things. And that's kind of what happened. Like, all these things happened in the same. It's like, whoa. Yeah. But I seen one thing happen that really shifted the big companies, and it was a Florida State linebacker, I think, or lineman, or yeah, I think it's linebacker. The Florida State coach said, "Yeah, but we had a good talk with our players, and we're on the same page." And that the player called the coach out. He was like, "Man, that shit ain't happen." He was on social media. He said it didn't happen. And then he was like, "You know what? I misspoke." And then when he said that, a whole bunch of other football players said it in college. And then the NFL video came out, and then all these companies started saying Black Lives Matter, having it on their bio, all this stuff. And it grew to this thing where, because George Floyd happened, but then everyone, that happened. But when all the big companies got behind it is when, to me, when I seen that. It may have been something else before that, but when I seen that, I was like, ooh, that makes sense, because the ones without power, when it's the majority, we have the most power.
Right.
And so we think that, NCAA, NFL, Coca-Cola, we think they have power, but there's only a few people that are running these companies. But then when the people who actually buy into their product, like, yo, we're not supporting you until you, I'm not saying get down and lay down, but like, you got to get down what we're talking about. And so that's what's happened. And yeah, people are making stuff political now, but it's all for the better. Like, it's all for the better. I could have went on, so I was about to say something else, but it's all for the better. So.
Okay, well, that's great. And we're going to wrap it up, but what is something you would like people to understand about maybe Native American culture and how it relates to Omaha? Because you said you're part of the Omaha tribe, and I think even like our state name, Nebraska, like Omaha, those are Native American words. Yes. And I don't think people think about that.
No, they don't. Like, and so Omaha means against the current, or, you know what I mean? Like, people know, or upstream, going, so... And its name is pronounced Omaha. It's Matenhan. Like, I can't even say it because I didn't grow up. It's like Matenhan. I can't. Like, my uncles, they know all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I do feel a certain way, because there are certain people who talk about, let's just say Iowa and Nebraska. Like, since we're familiar with that, they have like this, if you don't want to something in America, go back to where you came from. Meanwhile, they live in towns and cities named Omaha, or you live in Iowa. Iowa's a tribe, kind of like, or you live somewhere that's there's like a whole bunch of Wisconsin cities. I'm like, whoa, these are all native. I mean, even here, like Tecumseh, like we just have a whole system of municipalities and all that named after Native culture. But white people say that this is our town. Like, I grew up in this small town. Like, this is our, you know what I mean? And like, they're like, this is our, like, obviously they've kind of cultivated the land. Like, I get that, but like, I don't know. I think that we're looked at as, oh, Native Americans, if they're in history books, Dances with Wolves. Like, they don't see us as a people who are here today. And that's why there's a big issue with the mascots. With the Washington Redskins, Atlanta Braves, Cleveland Indians.
Even in Bellevue, you have Bellevue West Thunderbirds, and they have the East the Chieftains. They're like, maybe you should change that. Exactly. It's like, I don't think you guys made those to honor Native Americans, so maybe,
No, but that's the thing too. Like, and then I heard someone, they were like, yeah, but the reason why they named the Braves and the Cleveland Indians, because we want to honor Native people. It's like, I see what you're saying, but we got all these treaties that were signed by the government, and they not honoring them. How about you honor those treaties? And we don't want y'all to honor our people. Honor the treaties, because the treaties are what changed culture for Native Americans. And like there's a whole bunch of, I could go into more of it, but when I went to Standing Rock, I learned about those. And if you look at the court cases, they try to give you a financial payment for it, but then all those treaties are negated. So it's like, oh, we'll pay you $1 billion for whatever these however many acres up in South Dakota, North Dakota. But if if the tribes agree, then they don't get that. Like that land is now like, oh well, we paid you. Now it's the government's, but they haven't been able to expand on it because it's been this riff of, yo, you guys signed this treaty, the government, and you guys aren't honoring it. So there's no real sovereignty in the tribes. It is there a little bit, but the tribes have to fight for that. Like, but we're not mascots. We're not like we're here. If you want to go, oh, I want to go Native American history. How about you go talk to a Native American elder? You go talk to someone who can give you some. Actually, you can't talk to the elders like that. They'll actually look at you and be like, "Who is this?" Like they will really look at you and be like, "Oh, okay." Like journalists, when they go talk to them, a lot of them don't really speak with them because they're like, "I've seen your type before. You come talk to us, and then all of a sudden you leave, and then people come and then they'll wipe us out." So there's a whole bunch of, actually Big Elk Speaks. It's a book. It's very, to me it was I loved it because it was my people, and it resonated with me. It's like the modern day, I don't want to say Bible for natives, but like it was in the transition of when native culture was still going on, and then Big Elk was there when it shifted into Western culture, and he became like a pastor and stuff and a bishop, because he realized in order to preserve a lot of the native teachings, he had to shift into the new culture to make sure that things didn't just get wiped away in boarding school and all that. And so, it's just, that's not a easy question to answer because one, I'm not native. Like I didn't grow up on a reservation. That wasn't my culture. My culture is honestly like hip hop. But I have the culture of my mom. We're going to powwow. She's sharing these stories with me, and it's very like I'm in tune with it when I like pray, because then I was like, oh, my mom talked about the Creator, you know what I mean? So it's my recent education on it is very much like I'm repping my peoples. You know what I mean? So like, but yeah, it's just. You have to have those conversations with people. Like that's a really hard question to answer, but it's just like people who have these sayings about, well, black on black crime. Da, da, da. They got all these answers, but they have never talked to a black person. They have never talked to someone of Latin descent. They haven't talked to anyone, but they're in their own echo chamber, and they're sharing their ideas based off of talking points, off of TV shows. YouTube videos, news channels, but yet they haven't sat down and was like, wow, you're just like me. You have empathy just like me. You have all of these things. And so it's frustrating, but it's also, I understand it. And I think that the more that we understand that we have a responsibility, it makes it to be, for me, where I'm like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. My baby's future is dependent on this. And a lot of people who are going to be impacted by me and my wife's relationship and just people I interact with are going to be impacted by this. And so to me, I think that since I'm aware of it, I'm blessed to understand that, oh, okay, people come to me, even my white friends, they come to me and ask me about certain things. I was like, oh, you know what? I know why you're coming to me. It's because I have empathy, and I know that you don't mean any foul or malintent when you ask, so what about Black Lives Matter, Eddie? Like, aren't they Marx? Like they have like this perception. But they only got one side of the story, right? And then it's not even a two-sided answer to it. It's just, you got to talk to multiple people, because I see multiple layers of Black Lives Matter. I was in it. I see multiple layers of No Dapple when I was up in Standing Rock. There was like a whole bunch of different things going on. I'm just like, oh, none of us are on the same page. A few of us are, like, in our heart, we want love to win, but egos turn into or egos are in play and all that. And so that's hard to answer, but I feel like if people just talk with each other,
gain the understanding and just put themselves in the other person's shoes.
Exactly. And that's the most, what is Bible says something, treat your neighbor like how you want to be treated.
Love your neighbor as yourself. That
to me, I'm like, how be Christians and we not even touching that.
Woo, that's another topic.
I know, but anyway, but you get what I'm saying though, right? Like I'm just like
sometimes we just all need to take a look at ourselves and see how we're treating people, and we just have them in mind. Let's kind of make us stop and think the next time we go to say something. But Eddie, thank you so much for your time.
I'm sorry, I know I'm long-winded. But so my wife was like, "You want to do a podcast again? Okay, that's good. Maybe I ain't about to get all this from you later on." So I appreciate it though.
Yeah, thank you for joining us on Justice Speaks, and guys, tune into the next episode. Thanks for joining us.
Peace.
Peace.